Good evening and welcome. It's Tuesday, February 17th, 2026, and you are watching Last Week Today. We're a compilation of the most important stories of the week from legacy and new media. And my name's Chuck Black, and my partner in crime is Richard Gagnon. Richard, how's it going?
Doing great. It's supposed to really get cold tonight.
It's supposed to snow out here again tomorrow. We had 3 days without snow.
Well, it's supposed to go to -8, I think it is tonight.
Well, you're finally getting your winter. Congratulations.
Yeah, and then -13, I think, tomorrow, and -11 the next day, and -8 the next day.
You got lots of wood set up and raring to go?
I do indeed, actually. I found a whole pile of dry stuff.
Very cool.
Yeah.
So you're gonna have
I've been shopping wood.
You can have a nice quiet time in your home, reading the newspaper and sitting back and relaxing for a couple of days.
What newspaper?
I'm sorry. Reading the internet.
Yeah. Okay.
Shall we start?
I'm ready.
I am ready as well. And our first story tonight is, after 7 days, it's still in the news. The Tumbler Ridge shooting aftermath. I'm sorry. And we all know it's a horrific mass shooting. It's in British Columbia and Tumbler Ridge. It happened on about a week ago, February 10th, I think, and it's still in the news. Coming amidst a broader national coverage on public safety and rural healthcare right now. But the incident has sparked an intense debate over the adequacy of mental health support in isolated communities, which sort of surprised me. Now, as outlined in the February 17th CBC News Post, under the title BC to Release Budget as Tumbler Ridge Shooting puts focus on mental health services, the British Columbia Provincial Finance Minister just unveiled the budget about an hour and a half ago, maybe a little bit longer. They're talking about more mental health activities, more funding for mental health initiatives. The province and the city are all keen on making sure what they call support is available for anybody who needs it. Now, the shooting has left the Small Peace Region community shattered, and many of us, including Tumbler Ridge Mayor Daryl Krakowaka, I hope I pronounced that correctly. Anyway, he is drawing attention to the shortage of doctors, nurses, and mental health professionals in rural communities, which we all know about that. Just they're trying to get more money for it right now. Now, the province faces similar calls to amp up investments in the mental health system following there was another mass attack last year, the Lapu Day car attack last April. A person named Kai Jai Adam Lowe, who was under the care of a mental health team, he allegedly went postal. He drove his car through a festival happening at the time. He killed 11 people and injured dozens more. And he was already under care. And evidently it wasn't enough. So nobody quite knows what to do down there. Now, these calls for new investments come at a time when the province is grappling with a $12 billion deficit. This is a deficit that has ballooned steadily over the last few years under Premier David Eby's tenure. I just checked the news before we went on the air, Richard. The budget, the provincial government in BC has come down. All sorts of band-aids are offered up, and the $12 billion deficit now looks like it's going to be $13 billion. So David Eby may have an unsustainable budget, but he's going to try and keep it up for another year. Now, the shooter at Oh, sorry. Did you say something?
Nope.
Okay. The shooter at Tumbler Ridge Secondary School in British Columbia, Canada, was a person called Jesse Van Roetselaar. He was an 18-year-old resident of the town. He self-identifies as a female. He is on all the drugs. He's under medical care, and he began transitioning 6 years ago. Maybe I should call him she. It doesn't matter to me. The thing that I object to this is that a 12-year-old that we're not allowed to argue for or against started doing all sorts of strange things to his body because of 12-year-old self-image issues. So I don't particularly like what happened to this person even before now. And authorities noted a history of mental health concerns going back to 10 or 12. There were multiple prior police visits to his family home for issues including self-harm. And around this time, we'd normally talk about the stupidity of the doctors. We'd normally talk about the stupidity of the public health workers who mandate and enforce the drugging of a 12-year-old boy in an effort to force gender ideology on entire communities. But then I did some searching, and I took a look at this piece right here. It's a February 16th, 2026 MSN post under the title Anti-Feminist Ideology Increasingly Relevant to National Security, according to CSIS. And I'm still wondering if I should keep my mouth shut about this, because senior officials at the Canadian Security Intelligence Service say anti-feminist ideology is becoming increasingly relevant. I don't know what that means. It might mean that there's more violence on the take. It might mean anything. It's specifically designed to be a vague phrase. Anyway, anti-feminist ideology is becoming increasingly relevant to Canada's national security landscape and may lead to radicalization and violent extremism, but added that the ideology alone does not yet rise to the level of a security threat. The implication there is that it may indeed, mere thoughts could make you a national security risk. Now, the comments come during testimony last week to the House of Commons Standing Committee on the Status of Women, which is conducting a study on the anti-feminism movement that has sprung up in some online circles over the last few years, and advocates for regressive roles. Again, another one of those words that nobody's quite sure what it means. Regressive roles for women in society and relationships. So what are we going to do? We're going to diatribe about this piece again. We're going to be honest, or we're going to pretend that we're all on the side of the government.
The alphabet soup issue again, huh?
Yeah, that's what it basically comes down to.
Yeah, it's personally, I think it's a big distraction, and those that are really pushing it are really pushing it, and they're being bad.
Yeah.
Because you're either AMAB or AFAB. I don't care what you may consider yourself. When it comes down to the bottom line, you're AMAB or AFAB. People have to realize that.
Mm-hmm.
So all those people that are identifying as different weird and wonderful things, you come down to the bottom line on your job application form, you're AMAB or AFAB. You're nothing else.
I think there's more to it than that. You start giving a 12-year-old kid drugs to change their sex, and no matter what they look like in 10 or 15 or 20 years, no matter what they look like, you have essentially made it impossible for them to have children.
Yep. Yep. And they have no clue at that age what that means.
Yeah. So
we got to put a stop to it. Soji apparently is under major attack here in BC.
What do you mean, Soji?
They're being kicked out.
Oh, wow.
Their curriculum is being kicked out. It's being attacked.
Good.
Yeah. I just saw a few stories on that this week here, and I thought, that's interesting. It's finally happening. Mm-hmm. Soji is going by the wayside, and it was just a passing fad.
Well, it's a dangerous fad. It's ruined an entire generation of children, even the ones that aren't encouraged to try something weird and wacky.
Yeah, well, the United Nations bought into it.
Yeah, they did.
And they made it part of the school curriculum around the world, but I don't think it went very far.
And I know that the Soji core concepts are in the editorial offices of everybody I tried to get information about this story on. Most of the articles, they're very, very reticent to go into the history of the shooter. They're very reticent to explain that it looks like his mother is one of the people he killed, and one of his siblings is one of the people he killed.
Yep. Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah. So I don't know what to make of it. We're not allowed to have enough information to get an actual understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, I know.
And if we disagree about the information we got or draw different conclusions, then I don't know, CSIS is going to think about us as terrorists.
Yep. So we're going to be classified as domestic terrorists.
Domestic?
Just like down in the States. A lot of those things are coming up, labeling them as domestic terrorists.
I don't know the solution to this. I have one more objection to this story. The perception that the government is the only one who can make us feel better.
Aww.
Yeah. I mean, 50 years ago, there were churches, there were your friends, there were people who were not in the government payroll.
Right.
And now we've come to the point where we need the conditional approval from the government.
Right. Yeah. So. It's the old Reagan saying, we're from the government. We're here to control you.
Yeah, that isn't quite what he said.
No, I know. He said, we're here to help you.
Yeah. So I don't know. I think BC better smarten up soon. Maybe we should all smarten up soon. Some of this stuff is still going on right across the country.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's sad, but that's the way it is.
Shall we go on to our next piece or diatribe a little more?
Oh, I'm tired of talking about LGBTQ and all this stuff.
Me too. We don't need the...
I really am. We still got to tell people about it, but the thing is that I'm getting tired of that particular line. It's every time it comes up, I'm saying, okay, well, what are they trying to hide?
Yeah.
So
yeah, good point. They might not be trying to hide anything. They might just be trying to distract us and slowly, depopulate us, maybe.
Possibly.
Yeah.
Possibly.
Anyway, let's go on to the next piece. You're right.
Sure.
This piece was boring. Let's go on to the next one. Also in the news this week, on September 17th, following a week of high-level deliberation, the Government of Canada officially announced an updated defense policy. Under the title Security, Sovereignty, and Prosperity, Canada's Defense Industrial Strategy, the move signals a massive pivot, at least that's what they call it. It's a massive pivot towards domestic production of military equipment and a reduction in reliance on global supply chains. And I know the article says global supply chains. The truth is 70% of our weapons come from the Americans. And Carney and Trump aren't talking to each other very nicely anymore. So Carney wants to cancel the F-35. He wants to cancel all the American military procurement, and he wants Canada to build its own guns. Now, also, this strategy is explicitly tied to meeting NATO's 2% spending target and reclaiming sovereignty in an era of U.S. protectionism. So it's not our fault, it's all the Americans' fault. However, the plan is already facing internal friction. If only because the sovereignty contract being handed out for Canadian suppliers to build Canadian weapons are strategically directed toward, well, let's be fair, 8,000 jobs are being cut in the public service so that Ottawa can afford to buy weapons. I don't know how much weapons you can buy by laying off 8,000 people in the public service, especially when, an F-35 costs all by itself 60 or 80 or $100 million. But, the public service is annoyed that they're getting cut back. Now, under the new strategy, the 8,000 salaries that are going to pay for all these new Canadian weapons are called sovereignty contracts, and they are strategically directed towards regional hubs, primarily in Ontario and Quebec. Nothing for BC, it looks like. And the intent is for the federal government to leverage existing industrial strength in the provinces of Ontario and Quebec to reduce reliance on U.S. and foreign suppliers. Now, the bulk of these contracts will flow into specific industries in specific provinces. I don't want to say friends of Mark Carney are going to get the majority of these contracts, but that seems to be the way this stuff works. Now, aerospace and drone technology. Montreal remains the epicenter, and that means that most of the money the Carney government hands out will go to Montreal. The strategy emphasizes domestic production of aerospace platforms and a new drone innovation hub led by the National Research Council, and they have $105 million to play with. There's also a training and simulation hub. Carney unveiled a strategy at CAE, that's a major Canadian aerospace company in Montreal, and he feels that Made in Canada simulators and pilot training should be designated as key sovereign capabilities. And CAE is, to be fair, CAE is a pretty good defense contractor. Canadian owned, they're about the second or third largest simulator company in the world. They're reasonably well done. There is also a center of excellence for ammunition and propellant. And this will go to Quebec as well. Quebec's existing ammunition sector is getting a massive boost, including a new plant to produce something called nitrocellulose, which is essential for munitions, primarily explosives. And this new factory should be up and functioning by about 2029. All the aerospace and drone technology flows into Montreal and Quebec, but the digital and land systems technology will flow into Ontario. Digital systems like AI, quantum computing, and cyber centers, they will be centered in the Ottawa and Waterloo areas. These industries are being elevated to national champions, which means they will be favored in procurement policies or procurement contracts, and they will get a lot of money. They will grow big, they will grow fast. Their competitors will be essentially marginalized and driven out of business. And the government says this strategy prioritizes Canadian-owned intellectual property for secure cloud devices and AI-driven command systems. But it seems like a little bit of pork barreling going on here. Now, specialized vehicle manufacturing will be rolled out to contractors in Southern Ontario, mostly automotive companies, because automotive expertise is being pivoted towards tanks and military vehicle manufacturing. And they are looking at having 80% of their trucks and vehicles operational in the Army. That to me is supposed to be good. This is what they're working towards. But also to me, it means that at least 20-30% of their current technology, they can't go to war with. And there is also a space-based platform military technology. And this is being funded from Ottawa, and the hub is going to be in the Greater Toronto area and the Ottawa area as well. They will receive contracts for surveillance and communication satellites, which Carney identified as vital for Arctic sovereignty. And to be fair, Canada builds some pretty good satellites. Now, the government has also designated 10 of 12 NATO critical minerals as being essential to national interest, much like the Americans. We are going to start collecting key minerals, silver, copper, things like that, to ensure that the raw materials needed for high-tech computer systems are sourced and processed domestically. And like I mentioned at the beginning of this diatribe, 75% of Canadian military spending currently buys American products. And I don't know. I think Carney may have a point here. It'd be nice if we bought more Canadian stuff. But this is just another take our tax dollars, centralize it, give it to their friends, and hope everything will grow like gangbusters. Richard, what do you think?
Yeah, well, if we're going to be building our own guns, then guess what? We should stay away from the traditional guns and start building the plasma guns, the phasers, instead of these little bullet things. Build the things that when you pull the trigger, the person disappears.
Now, as my understanding is that the United States has at least one laser beam deployed on a destroyer in, I think it's in the Middle East right now. They also have a number of other fancy weapons that are deployed on other ships throughout the world. So the Americans are pretty good at doing this stuff.
Yeah, well, we can be better.
We can be better if we we did the 20-year lead build up to it, or maybe we can.
Actually, most of it can be done probably within a couple of years. The handheld phasers,
yeah,
the handheld plasma guns that you see in Star Trek and Star Wars and all that.
Yes,
those we can build those very quickly. We do have the technology for it. It's just that everybody's too scared to do it.
We want stuff that we want to maintain the existing suppliers. The Americans do that too. That's why it costs $500 to get a toilet bowl seat.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I appreciate what Carney is trying to do, but there's not a lot of openness about his strategy. He just wakes up one day, he gives an announcement, he says, "This is what we're going to do." Somebody else will work out the details.
Yep. Yeah. That's the government. They say this is what we want to get done. Let other people build it. That's where they give away all this money to these people who don't do anything.
So I don't know what's going to happen. I remember when I was covering the aerospace industry in 2015, I think it was, the Trudeau government came up with aerospace and innovation centers. There were supposed to be 5 innovation centers for aerospace, for manufacturing, for farming, and maybe for 1 or 2 other things as well. And they were being spread right across the country. And there was a couple of really good press releases. The money was announced, and I've never heard from them again.
Yep. Yeah. But it sounded good at the time when they got them elected.
Good. Giving out $100 million to 5 centers of excellence. What could a center of excellence possibly be except excellent?
Let's define that.
Yeah. So I don't know. Well, I've diatribed enough. We should go on to the next piece.
Okay, what's our next piece?
Let's work on the next piece. We are right here. This is something I came across on X. This is the February 16th, 2026. John B. Wells on X post under the title, I just read the entire migration and the 2030 agenda, a guide for practitioners. And if you strip out all the humanitarian, climate change, and progress for humanity language, here is what it boils down to. And I think it's an interesting post because he eventually says they want a managed global population with no stubborn majorities, no people who would object to the government, no strong old world identities, and no independent power centers so that they can suppress Western fertility through pharmacopoeia, food and water contamination, psychological warfare, and propaganda, and then present the resulting democratic collapse as a neutral problem and solve it with permanent mass migration that keeps the debt economies running, dilutes historic white Christian populations, breaks social cohesion, and justifies a thick web of surveillance, speech control, NGO management, and UN-style government over human bodies, borders, labor, and money until most people are interchangeable, completely trackable units in a post-national, post-Christian, post-ethnic grid. And here is the title of the document. It's also on X, and we'll include the links to this in the show notes. And you can download the entire, I think it's a 200-page document, and you can see all of this for yourself. Now, John B. Wells goes on to say they do not just bulldoze everyone because they still need a large, frightened, and healthy herd to work, consume, and validate their status. They do not have absolute unified power. And open slaughter risks revolt and delegitimizes the system. And the kind of people who build this architecture think in terms of slow, deniable, legalistic pressure and manufactured consent. So poison comes as medicine, control comes as care, demographic replacement comes as compassion, and they keep tightening the cage while pretending that nothing fundamental is happening. Comments, Richard?
Yeah, that's just something that they've got a plan for, and if they want, again, it's all about control of man and woman.
Yeah.
But once AI comes into play, they can get rid of man and woman, and who are they going to control? AI is going to control them.
Maybe they think they can control everybody. That's so many of these people have never been out in public. It's hard to control yourself these days.
I know.
Much less everyone else.
Yeah. So it's sad to see what they're trying to do, but people, that's what it is.
This is the scary part about this is that this is publicly available documentation linked to in the X post and available on the United Nations website.
Right.
So they have no shame. They say this stuff.
And it's out there for people. So it means that this is what their plan is. And if you don't believe it, then just go read it. And that's what their plan is.
Yeah, it's so easy to find this stuff nowadays. I find that particularly scary.
Oh, yeah.
Any more comments before going on to our next one?
I'm pretty dark tonight.
You are pretty dark tonight. You look happy.
Well, that's because the sun has finally gone down. It's still light outside.
Yeah.
There we go.
Now you look normal.
No, that's a little bit better.
You still look relaxed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
I sit up straight every night to talk with you, and you're slouched back, and you're very casual.
Yeah. Well, I like to be comfortable.
Yeah. No, that's fair. You're talking about all sorts of strange things. We might as well be at least comfortable doing it.
That's right.
Ah, here is an interesting story. It's the February 15th National Post editorial from a writer named Michael Boyd under the title Canadians Can Trust Police Despite Recent Corruption Scandal. And the Post insists that police corruption in Canada, at least, is not all that bad despite recent legacy news reports. Now, 2 weeks ago, as outlined in the February 5th VOCM post under the title 7 Toronto Police Service Officers Charged in Massive Corruption and Organized Crime Investigation, at the time, at least 7 Toronto police officers and 1 retired officer have been arrested and identified as being part of an intensive 7-month investigation into organized crime and police corruption. And this is in the GTA area, Toronto, and its its outlying areas, and it's something called Operation South. I don't know why it's called Operation South. Now, days after this February 5th piece came out, on February 11th, another story came out. Province-wide probe of police corruption called by Inspector General of Policing. And this suggests that a larger probe is being announced. Now, most of this stuff is going on behind closed doors. And the fact that it's already gone so far in the legacy media suggests that there's an awful lot of things going on behind the scene. And while the National Post yesterday may have been right, Canadians can trust police despite recent corruption scandals. Well, maybe they can't. Who can tell? Maybe we need more information. Richard?
No, the police, when I was a kid, my mom and dad told me, when I went out bike riding, if the police are there, you're going to be safe. They're going to protect you.
Yes.
Oh, okay, good. Well, guess what? That's not the case anymore. If the police are there, they're there to take whatever they can from you.
I believe that the police don't do any community policing anymore. They don't know the community they're in. That creates a distance, and they don't know how people react, and they don't have the connection to the community, so they can't help but be more distance. They can't be Andy of Mayberry anymore.
Right, exactly, and that's where everything started to fall apart.
Yeah, no, I agree. And then
yeah, I don't trust the police. I don't tell kids that. I would never tell kids that you can trust the police. Because, yeah, they'll protect you yourselves, but they will not. They will not be out there to do good for you, no matter what you do. And of course, everybody's worried about all these kidnappings and everything else nowadays.
Yeah.
The police aren't necessarily doing their job properly.
Mm-hmm.
That's true. It's frustrating when I see that.
I agree. I also feel it's important to note that policemen are trained differently than what they used to be trained. They're trained by ex-military people. They're trained to demand compliance before they even figure out what's going on.
That's exactly it. So that's why using the word no kind of puts them back, because what? You're saying no? And of course, I do not consent. The other ones, I do not wish to contract. It's another one. These are things that we've got to be teaching the kids.
Agreed.
To say no.
I agreed. You and I have had debates about this in the past. My belief is that if only you and I do it, there's more police officers than us. We're doomed. But if 1,000 or 2,000 or 1,000,000 people start doing it, there's not enough police officers to control every one of us, and we win.
That's why they were trying to stop the rallies in Calgary.
Yeah. No, I agree with that 100%.
they figured, well, they're going to cause a problem. No, the rally goers were having a great time.
Yeah.
And when we had the liaison police officers there, they were having a great time too, because they were being able to handle the 1,000 to 10,000 people, no problem.
I remember the protest marches in Toronto in 2021, and they were actually really, really well organized.
Yep. Chris Guy and all those guys coming out there to talk, and Pat King and all those guys. They weren't rallying the forces. They were basically telling the truth.
Yeah. And some of their truth, most of their truth, has been validated by events since.
Yep, exactly. That's 100% true.
Let us go on to the next piece. We are making good time today. Here's something that's amusing. I find it particularly amusing. It's got to do with trade, and it's according to the February 16th CBC News post. Canadians are ready for Chinese-made autos, but experts note there are security risks. Now, that post says that weeks after Ottawa announced that it would allow a limited number of Chinese-made electric vehicles into the Canadian market, some have warned that this move puts data privacy at risk. And I think that's just so dumb. Autos collect all sorts of information on their owners' driving habits, their eye movements, where they go. In the case of Chinese cars, the data collected goes to a data center in China, not a data center in Nevada. But, if you don't want to be tracked, you don't buy an electrical vehicle for sure. And maybe you don't buy a new vehicle anymore. What do you think?
Yeah, well, I'm apprehensive about buying new vehicles. Yeah. Although I would like to have a new truck. The thing is that when I look at all the stuff that's on it, I'm sitting there. Now, I don't pay for insurance. I don't buy the insurance nonsense. So if something gets broken or gets damaged in an accident, I can't afford the $5,000-6,000 for a new piece of electronics.
Yes.
I looked at a truck there that had the heads-up display, so everything was displayed on the windshield.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if that windshield and that stuff gets damaged, guess what? I'm going to be out a pile of money. So why should I bother paying that much money for some electronics when I know that it's costing them like peanuts, 10% of what that value is that they're putting on it?
No,
so,
I agree.
Yeah, and I don't want to buy any brand new vehicles. I'm not going to buy an EV.
Mm-hmm.
An EV would be completely useless out here.
No, I agree. I mean, they're stupid things for being in the country.
Yeah, and they'd be so heavy with the batteries that the suspension and the tires would be completely shot within the first 6 months.
Yeah. No, I agree with you about that. I also think it's worth noting something I came across a couple of weeks back. In India, they are building cars for the local market without all the catalytic converters, without all the massive electronics.
Yeah.
And they're doing it for like $4,000 or $5,000 a vehicle.
Yep. You don't need to have all that stuff because all that stuff's a farce. It's just money grab. Yeah. All those things for the environment on your vehicles are completely just cash grab. That's all they
are. I agree completely. I think it's at least we're not bored. Hopefully somebody doesn't buy those EV vehicles. I think that's a waste of time and effort.
Oh, yeah. And I keep telling people, no, you don't want to buy one of those because they will not work in the wintertime.
Yeah, absolutely. One final story from me before we go to the final story from you. This one is an interesting one. Janice Charetz She is a senior level government bureaucrat. She's been in the PMO office. She's a friend of Mark Carney, and she was appointed on February 16th as Canada's chief trade negotiator for the Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement Review. That's supposed to be coming up this summer. Donald Trump says he doesn't want it. Canada probably needs this. They need a deal to trade with the U.S. and Mexico. And Janice Charrette's experience has sparked a range of critiques from political opponents and public observers. And mostly they note that Charrette is a career bureaucrat with no experience as a trade expert, no experience negotiating with foreign governments, nothing whatsoever. She is a former clerk of the Privy Council. And it's also come out that Charrette was recommended. She recommended the use of the Emergencies Act during the 2022 Freedom Convoy protests. This has made her a controversial figure among supporters of the convoy. Most of those are conservatives these days, but there's a couple of liberals coming out of the woodwork. And also this has made her a target for those critical of government's handling of the 2022 protests. And critics also point out that the government has already missed by like 8 months a self-imposed Mark Carney July 21st, 2025 deadline to reach a trade deal with U.S. President Donald Trump. The appointment of a new trade negotiator at this stage, 8 months after Carney promised to get it done, this is seen as a admission of failure. And also it's indicative of extra delay in a process that should already have yielded results for the auto, the lumber, and the steel sectors. Are we going to have a U.S., Mexico, Canada trade deal, Richard?
It's starting to look like that might get dropped.
Yeah.
We don't need it, really, because Trump is going to cause nothing but problems with it, so we might as well just forget it. And we'll create some trade deals directly with Mexico, which apparently we're working on, and
Yes.
trade deals with other countries around the world, which is apparently what we're working on.
I think all the nations these days are beginning to bypass the middlemen. What started as primarily an American initiative is growing around the world, and organizations like the UN are the worst for it.
Yep.
You like that?
Yeah, and I've been saying this for quite a while. We just, with Trump and his tariffs and the way he changes his mind and moves things around, I just tell the carnages of the world, don't play his game. Just don't play his game.
Yeah,
and you can read his book and you know what his game is.
Yeah, we will see what happens. I heard that a couple of days back, the U.S. Congress voted to dismiss Trump's tariffs against Canada. So I don't know where that's going to go. I don't know if Congress has the power to enforce that sort of a decision.
I think they can veto his executive orders.
Okay.
And I think they can. So that's a good thing.
Yeah, I think so too. I think trade needs to settle down. I appreciate some of what Trump has done over the last year or so to remove the power from some of these non-governmental organizations.
Right.
But I think we need to settle down and start making an environment for people.
Yeah. Yeah, we have to. We are doing it. Carnage is actually getting out there and doing the work that needs to be done to get the other countries to deal with Canada directly. We don't need to deal with the American corporations, which is, by the way, what the American system's all about.
Yeah.
All world trade goes through the United States.
Yeah.
Because everybody has to pay in U.S. dollars.
Uh, yeah, I've heard stories about that too. I think the U.S. dollar may soon go the way of the dodo.
Yeah, well, it already has. It has no value. But the thing is that Trump is trying to keep the greenback going,
Yes.
the petrobuck, and all that
Yeah.
stuff. And that's not going to happen. We're going to be changing over to a whole new commerce system. Which one it's going to be, I don't know. But we need to get rid of that American reserve currency. Because that's the one that's going to mess us up. The Americans took away the British as a reserve currency, the British pound. They basically took that over a long time ago, and now it's time to change it again. We need a new reserve currency.
Fiat currencies die every 100 years or so.
Yep. But people don't understand.
What?
People don't understand
that. Yeah. What's the final video for tonight?
For me, what's the title on it? I can't remember what the title is.
Neurotoxins on planes.
Yeah. I bet you people didn't know this, but this is what they're doing on planes. Mm-hmm. If you see the flight attendants running around with their spray cans, they're poisoning it.
Yeah. This one looks like it's 8 minutes. Did I pull up the right file tonight? Or?
Yep, that's 8 minutes long, and it definitely needs to be played, the whole thing.
Let us play the whole thing. The February 16th Manga Mind on BitChute post, Neurotoxins on planes.
I literally thought this was AI, but it's not. I'm going to come back in after and explain what's going on.
Okay, this video is going viral on Twitter right now for a shocking reason. Here's an airplane packed full of people, and the flight attendants, I guess this is part of their job now, are walking down the aisle spraying something in the air. Now, when I was in Costa Rica and it was Schmovid-Schmeintine Global Schmandemic announced, I remember they were Lysoling the inside of the freaking cab that I was in because we were the tourists, so they thought we had it or whatever. But that reminds me of that. So they're spraying some chemical down the aisles. They actually ask them, and they tell them, yeah, I don't know, it's a safe and effective thing, it's approved, blah, 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 blah. Turns out the World Health Organization has approved it, which is giving me a couple of red flags. But wait until you see, because I just went and did a deep dive on this. This is shocking. This has absolutely got to be banned. There's got to be a better way. What about someone who has a lung thing going on? You can't be inhaling this stuff. I recommend calling the airline. If you're going on a plane anytime soon, call and find out if they do this, because you might want to either skip that one or get a freaking gas mask or something. But wait until you see this.
Como que me duele la garganta, ¿qué fue lo que rociaron? Y empecé a estornudar. ¿Qué tiene? Si es que dice que está de...
¿Cómo se llama?
Dice que la OMS lo avala, pero...
Lo avala y obliga, nos obliga a echarlo.
Pero la OMS también...
Porque decimos, aquí más mosquitos y más bichos, no sé, que no traigamos nada de España.
Sí, es que nosotros como pasajeros pues tenemos derecho a saber qué es lo que nos están echando, porque vienen niños, vienen...
Sí.
Puede que sea alérgico, ¿no? A algunos de los compuestos que...
Okay, so this is from the TSA, basically, government website. Disinsection, I know, that's the first time I heard that word, is permitted under international law in order to protect public health, of course, agriculture, and the environment. The World Health Organization and the International Civil Aviation Organization stipulate two approaches for aircraft disinsection. Spray the aircraft cabin with an aerosolized insecticide while passengers are on board, or spray or treat the aircraft's interior surfaces with a residual insecticide while passengers are not on board. Now, shockingly, short-term effects. Some flight attendants and passengers have reported symptoms. Sore throat, skin irritation, for sure. Long-term effects. Ongoing concern, debate. Probably not the best thing for you. Nervous system impact. Some studies suggest that these chemicals may act as suspected endocrine disruptors and potentially cause nervous system problem. Officially, it's for Zika or malaria and other things. But the main compound in it is permethrin. So look that one up. Let me know if you think we should be inhaling it.
All right, so I grow, okay? And sometimes I get some bugs from outside inside into my indoor grow room. We have to bug bomb it. You basically pop open these bug bombs and it fogs the whole area, and if you breathe it in, you're screwed. So you basically set it and run. And I'm like really sketched doing this like around my dogs and stuff like that. It's not a good thing. And I come across this video and I hear permethrin. And I'm like, no, That's the active ingredient in these bug bombs. Literally, that is so dangerous and so deadly. I'm not going to waste your time with my analysis of it all, because what I'm saying is absolutely true. I've consolidated a conversation I had. Here's a TTS script of that. Just listen.
This is a warning to every living soul who steps onto a commercial aircraft. You are being lied to. You are being poisoned. You are paying for the privilege of being trapped in a pressurized aluminum tube that is legally treated as a fumigation chamber. How it works: when you board a plane destined for specific regions, you are entering a bug bomb. The chemicals used, synthetic pyrethroids like diphenhydramine and permethrin, are not harmless mists. They are potent neurotoxins designed with one specific purpose: to destroy the nervous system. The mechanism is terrifyingly precise. These chemicals attack the voltage-gated sodium channels in the nerve cells. In a healthy body, these channels open and close to transmit signals. This toxin jams the door open. It forces the nerves to fire uncontrollably, creating an electrical storm within the biology of the organism. We have all seen the result of a bug bomb in a house. You see the insect on the floor. It is not dead yet. It is twitching. It is vibrating. It is paralyzed, trapped in its own body, its brain screaming while its motor skills fail. That is the biological reality of pyrethroid exposure. When you inhale this in a cabin with recirculated air, you are subjecting your own neurology to that same mechanism. The brain fog, the tremors, the numbness, and the dizziness reported by passengers are not side effects. They are the early warnings of neurological siege. You are the bug twitching on the floor, but you are strapped into seat 14A. This practice is not new. It is a legacy of negligence dating back to the 1930s and 40s. In the beginning, they sprayed DDT, a chemical now universally banned for its devastating environmental toxicity, directly over the heads of passengers. The chemical changed, but the mindset did not. The World Health Organization, WHO, sanctions this mass poisoning under the guise of public health. The irony is etched into their very identity. The WHO logo features the rod of Asclepius, the snake wrapped around the staff. In ancient Greek, the root word pharmakon means two things simultaneously: remedy and poison. The difference is the intent. In the case of aircraft disinsection, the WHO has chosen poison. They have decided that protecting international agriculture is worth sacrificing the neurological integrity of the human passengers. It really makes sense when you look at their parent, the United Nations, with a crosshair pointing at the world. If you believe the safety data, look at the people who live in the air. Flight attendants have been the subjects of lawsuits against major airlines for decades. These are the canaries in the coal mine. Studies have found metabolites of these pesticides in the urine of flight crews at levels comparable to agricultural farmers who spray crops for a living. These crew members are not just tired, they are suing for chronic tremors, memory loss, respiratory failure, and permanent neurological damage. They are the living proof that the safe dosage model is a lie. If the people who work on the plane are suffering from neurotoxicity, what do you think is happening to your child, your pregnant wife, or your elderly parent breathing that same air? The most egregious violation is that you never agreed to this. You did not sign a medical consent form. You were not offered a respirator. You were not warned at the ticket counter. The airlines use a legal loophole called constructive notice. They bury the admission of fumigation deep within the contract of carriage, a 50-page legal document that nobody reads. By purchasing the ticket, they legally argue that you consented to being sprayed with neurotoxins. They know you didn't know. They rely on your ignorance to protect their liability. The bottom line. They are spraying the cabin to protect profits, not people. Countries like Australia, New Zealand, and India threaten airlines with massive fines if a single live bug is found on board. Rather than risk their profit margins, the airlines turn the passenger cabin into a kill box. Next time you fly, look at the aerosol can in the flight attendant's hand. Understand that you are enclosed in a seal, breathing recycled air, marinating in a chemical designed to paralyze life. The twitching bug on the floor is the warning. Do not ignore it.
Wow.
How about that?
Nice video.
Yeah.
What are you doing?
This is my mental floss. I've had this thing for years, and I dug it out today, and I thought, I'm going to use this on the shows. So whenever I see stupid stories, I pull out my mental floss. I'm not going to fly again. And I've known about Australia and New Zealand doing this for a long time.
Wow.
Yeah. And when I ask people about it, they say, oh, well, it's just stop to kill those bugs. Well, it's killing you too.
Wow.
They made the point there that the bugs are still twitching. They're still alive. But the thing is that they don't have any control over their motor functions.
That is, I don't know. I like the documentary. Where did it come from? Where did you find it?
Somebody posted it on one of the Telegram channels, and I grabbed it right away.
Wow. I'm going to do a bit of research tonight and see if I can find out where it came from originally. And if I do, I'll post that with the show notes. Huh?
I have some friends that are still in Costa Rica, and they'll be heading back pretty quick. So when they come back, I will check to see if they've got nerve issues, or if I'll ask them if they got sprayed in the plane.
I flew on a lot of planes in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah.
So.
Well, they weren't spraying the planes that I was flying on. I was flying on North American stuff, so it was really not something that was needed. But when you fly out to other countries, like Australia and New Zealand, where they require you to kill your passengers in a kill box, people just don't get it. So why would you want to travel to those countries? And apparently they got to do them on the ships too.
Ouch.
The big cruise ships. So I don't want to go to those countries. Jeez.
I used to like to travel. I'm going to have to.
You got to ask.
In the future.
You got to ask all the time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's wind up. What's on the go for you over the next few days?
Well, I'm going to be struggling to keep warm. The temperature's going to drop down to -13, so I'll be doing a lot of firewood. But tomorrow, I'm still traveling to town to pick up some groceries. It's supposed to be cold, but no snow.
Mm-hmm.
And according to the postman, the graders were out today cleaning up the potholes a bit.
Oh, wow. That's good then.
That's a good thing, yeah. So anyways, I'll be traveling tomorrow, and Thursday is going to be a cold day here. Apparently, Tim has a plumber friend of his who's coming in, and he's going to be staying at our Silver Palace. I went and checked it out today. So Thursday night, I'll have a guest down here, and it's supposed to be -18. So he picked the coldest day to come out here. I bet you if he planned on doing it next week, it would be much nicer. But that's okay.
Will you be posting any stories this week?
Oh yeah, Thursday and Friday. I'll still be doing my story. I do them on Twitch.
Yeah.
And I'm looking into the possibility of providing the post-show Twitch link onto Facebook.
Now that's a good idea. I've noticed that our live audience has dropped down fierce ever since we lost the Facebook access. The people on Facebook were the ones that commented and said hello, and
those were the people that I'm kind of disappointed, and I'm hoping that they see that I do post the shows still. They can find them on Twitch, and of course I provide them with the link to it.
That is a good idea. I miss them. Some of them were fun people.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. But that's Facebook for you. They don't really care about business anymore. They just they just kill you. So anyways, that's the way she goes. And we'll see. I don't know how long Facebook will leave me like this.
We will see. Things change. As for Freedom Forum, we normally record every Tuesday night at 8 p.m. Eastern Time on a variety of internet platforms, including the one you're watching now. We republish next day with notes on our Substack page at chuckblack.substack.com. And most of our stuff slides behind a paywall after a month online. So if you'd like to maintain access, the easiest thing to do is to sign up for a monthly subscription. $20 Canadian per month, $160 per year. Gives you access to archive posts, anything over a month old, plus includes lots of in-depth stuff not covered in our regular stories. I've also started posting suggestions for broadening your social media access starting about a week or so ago. Those are paywalled. We put them all behind the paywall. We make sure all the news always goes out for free. But technical stuff and how we get our audience and how we push things out, I'm going to start writing stories about that and putting it behind a paywall. And we also provide a Substack app to help you access Freedom Forum stories from your phone, and subscriber chat so you can help us, so you can tell us what you'd really, really want. Like I said at the beginning, my name is Chuck Black. I directed this show using StreamYard, which I think Richard and I recommend. We've been using it together and separately for several years at this point. It's fairly useful. And we would recommend you sign up for StreamYard, but only if you sign up using either Richard's or my link. We get a little bonus out of this at the end of each month to help defray some of our costs. Now, this show will be up with show notes on Substack tomorrow. We will be back. Richard and I will be back next Sunday at 5:30 p.m. Eastern Time for another edition of Roasting the Press. And we will be back a week from tonight on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern Time for another edition of Last Week Today. And I think that's all for tonight. Richard, did I forget anything?
No, I think you covered everything again.
I'm getting it right more often than not these days. So, I think it's a good thing.
Good.
Good night, Richard. I will talk to you later. I will see you in a couple of days.
Okay, well, I'll see you in a couple of minutes when we do our post-show talk.
Absolutely. Take care.